Hi, my name is Fabian, and on this video I am going to show you how I am building an acoustic absorber based on rock wool. I already built several acoustic absorbers because I wanted to reduce the reverberation time in my home theater. So, what is reverberation time then? Reverberation time is basically the time it takes for a sound wave to disappear. You may have been in an empty room before and noticed that it is rather difficult to have a normal conversation with another person there. That is because empty rooms have almost always a very high reverberation time. There are several methods to reduce that time.
You could bring more furniture. You could hang heavy curtains. Or you could lay down thick carpet, to name a few things.
I decided to build an acoustic absorber based on rock wool because of its good wideband characteristics and its low price. As you will see, they can even look good, so let's get started.
An earlier measurement of the rock wool revealed the size of 62.5 cm by exactly 100 cm. I want to design my wood frame around this size, so I need two short wood slats of 62.5 cm. The large slats need to account for the thickness of the wood itself, so they need to be 104.8 cm long. Next, I start cutting them. When sawing the wooden slats, the process is always the same. First, I measure the length required and then I mark me the place. Then I use a square to draw a line in the correct distance over the whole slat. Now I clamp the slat in the correct position in a miter box. The miter box allows me to perform a beautiful rectangular cut even without an electric saw. The cut surface is not too rough, but I sand it anyway to avoid damaging the fabric later. After the sawing is finished, I have two pairs of respectively equally long wooden slats. The shorter pair has a length of 62.5 cm and the longer one is 104.8 cm long. This will later result in exactly the right inner dimension for a plate of rock wool. Now I want to screw each of the four corners together. My aim is in particular that all the resulting angles are right angles. To this end, I fix the first board to the table. I use a vise for it. Then I check with the angle to make sure that the board is perpendicular to the table. I align the second board using the angle to have exactly right angles to the first board and of course to the table. Without moving it any further, I now fix the second board also by means of a screw clamp to the table. I have decided to use 4 screws at each corner and I now want to mark me their locations. With a scrap piece of wood, I mark myself the thickness of the board on the outside and now I just draw freehand 4 points that should be fairly evenly distributed. I will now pre-drill small holes for the screws so that the wood does not crack. In this case, I use the smallest wood drill I own. For actually screwing in the screws, I have to change the bit on the cordless screwdriver. Since you have to change twice for every corner, it was later helpful to use a second drilling machine. And basically, you have to repeat the process of perpendicular alignment, clamping, drilling and screw driving only for the other 3 corners, and then you get the finished frame for the absorber. Now the frame is done and ready to take the rock wool. The task now is to cover the back wall with fabric, which afterwards is indeed no longer visible, and therefore I use the cheapest fabric I could find. The purpose of the fabric is indeed only that the rock wool does not fall out. I staple the fabric first on one of the longer edges. Then I staple it firmly under tension on the opposite side and finally on the 2 short sides. When everything is stapled, I cut excess fabric using a razor blade or scissors. As one can see, the rear panel is well under tension. Now I turn the frame around and put the rock wool inside. The fabric for the front should definitely be acoustically transparent so that the sound can properly reach the rock wool. For me, the appearance was important too. For this purpose it is advisable to go simply to a shop for fabrics. I now staple this fabric again equally firmly, but with the difference that this time I staple on the back, because the staples should not be visible, and I will cover the edges this way as well. The side walls are covered afterwards through the fabric, but the fabric itself can be seen, of course, so I make a lot of effort when folding the fabric. To conclude, I nailed 2 picture frame mounts from the hardware store to the back. The complete absorber does not weigh a lot, so I hung it afterwards on only 2 nails. For some time now, this absorber hangs in our living room and has been consistently rated as very appealing. I do not have measured the acoustic performance of the absorber, but in the living room a single absorber is definitely not enough for an audible change in acoustics. In the home theater, I have now 6 of them in the room, and here the effect is definitely audible. The complete construction process of an absorber takes me about 90 minutes. So, let's take a short look on the material costs of one absorber. As always, one absorber gets a little cheaper if you build more of them at the same time. For example, you get the rock wool with 8 pieces inside one box, but you need only 1 piece per absorber. The timber costs roughly 6 euros for one absorber. The rock wool costs 3 euros. The screws and the staples are very cheap, and therefore I will not count them. Last thing is the fabric. The fabric has a very wide price range. The cheapest fabrics will cost 1 or 2 euros per absorber. In my case, the back fabric had cost me 1 euro and the awesome front fabric had cost 15 euros. This totals the minimum costs of one absorber to 11 euros. Mine costs around 20 euros. This corresponds to roughly 12, respectively 22 US dollars. Thank you for watching. Until next time. If you liked this video, I am of course very happy about a thumbs up because it was a lot of work. If you have any questions, you can reach me as @fabsnet on Twitter, or you can simply comment under this video.